when you go all in on something, I would say that does take conviction. Now, your conviction might be
how many
coming
chairs
from
are you sitting on right now?
one.
Are you all in on the chair? The point really is you put on one pair of glasses. You've got one pair of AirPods right now. You're looking at me through one screen. You're using one microphone. That's a one microphone. Like, you trust it? Is that conviction? Seems kind of scary. Why don't you diversify? Why don't you use 10 microphones? The point really is things in your life. Do you drive in 10 cars at the same time or one car at one time? Do you drive down one street? Aren't you afraid that you're driving down one street? Do you take a different way? You know? So my point really is, if you're you get on one airplane, are you convicted? You put your entire family on the one airplane, aren't you afraid? I said, well, Bitcoin is the best crypto asset. Okay, what's the second best? There is no second best. There's no second best crypto asset. There's a crypto asset. It's called Bitcoin, right? Right? There's no second best, okay? But take all your money, buy Bitcoin. Then take all your time, figure out how to borrow more money to buy more Bitcoin. Then take all your time and figure out what you can sell to buy Bitcoin. And if you absolutely love the thing that you don't want to sell it, go mortgage your house and buy Bitcoin with it. And if you've got a business that you love because your family works for the business that's in your family for 37 years and you can't bear to sell it, mortgage it, finance it, and convert the proceeds into the hardest money on earth.
Hey, boss. Good morning. Good. How you doing? Listen, man, I'm not going to be able to make it in today. No, I'm not calling in sick. I'm calling in rich. Yeah, you remember those Shiba Inu coins that you laughed at me for buying? Well, I bought 100 million of them. And wouldn't you know, that damn thing hit a penny. And now it's worth $1 million. So yeah, I'm calling in rich. No, I'm serious. So I won't be in ever again. Hello? Hello? Motherfucker just hung up on me. Fucking hater.
You're late to work, who gives a fuck? It's your life, bitch! Fuck you, boss, I'm late! What you gonna be doing about it? I said I'm late! You gonna fire me? There's no one else here, bitch! I'm late! You gonna fire me? That's cute! Late! Just shut up and let me enjoy this pain.
Welcome to the pain zone. It's where we live.
When I'm hurt, I love it. I love that feeling because it's real.
You need to love pain.
Be the guy who embraces the ugly, the miserable. Be the guy who embraces hard work, the grind. Don't be afraid of being hurt. Don't be afraid of sacrificing some blood.
Everything else, happiness could be fake, crying could be fake, but pain? Shit. That's real.
However, mentally, physically, love it. You need to love it. If not, stay where you are.
Bro, gambling in 2025 is crazy. I just bet that Israel would bomb Lebanon, and now I'm up $400. Bro, just bet on Israel bombing people. Like, you literally can't lose. Like, it's free money.
Don't gamble. Oh yeah, don't gamble money that you can. Man. I mean, unless it's a lock. There's no such thing as a lock. That's the thing. Unless it's a lock. If it's a lock, it's a little different.
Broski, the market is so red. I thought my MacBook was bleeding. This is the end, cuz. Yesterday I was a millionaire. Today I'm a slumdog. This is not a dip. This is a black hole.
Imbeciles. They have no idea. This is not a black hole. This is the beginning of a big bang.
Why is Broski not panicking with us? Yeah, why is he so unfazed? Check your wallet, cuz. The crypto is down 85%. Allow him, Broski. He's still in denial.
Is it down by 85%? Or is it 85% off?
Oh shit. No, gang, not the hustler mindset. Not the hustler mindset. Bro said it's not a crash, it's a discount. Circumstances, but you can change your mentality. Remember, brothers, The market sends his toughest battles to his most financially literate soldiers. When the Nasdaq falls, will you give up? Or remember that no amount of setbacks defeat a qualified mind? You see a dip and start to sell, but I remember that sudden emotions lack logic. Down isn't permanent. So I invest more into the S&P because I was born to struggle and persist.
Nah, man, them. How does he do
This
it?
guy knows something. Broski, was you in the board meeting with Donald Trump? So tell me, brothers, when the crops go dry, will you sell your land or sow more seeds, knowing that the harvest will always return?
He's really got that hustler mindset. Bro's got that JP Morgan mentality. That's that quarter zip discipline, cuz. Yeah, gang. Yeah, a few individuals that make it out, cuz. This guy's one of them.
You may have noticed that crypto's crashing again, like it did in 2022 and 2018 and 2013. You get the picture. But there's something different about this crash that you need to know about. Crypto has always gone through boom-bust cycles, but now, thanks to loosening regulations, people can buy financial products that give them exposure to Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies through the regulated stock markets. They're called ETFs, and over $100 billion worth of crypto was bought by ETFs in the past 2 years, as the size of the market seemed to only go up. But in October of last year, after Bitcoin briefly reached an all-time high price of $125,000, investors began to take some risk off the table and sell their shares of these ETFs. The result? The price of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies has nosedived. As of the time of recording this video, Bitcoin is down nearly 50% in just 4 months. So what happens now? Well, we'll see how much actual money is backing these cryptocurrencies. When people sell their shares of the crypto ETFs, the Wall Street firms that issue them, like BlackRock, turn to the crypto exchanges like Coinbase to actually sell the Bitcoin. But if there aren't enough buyers, then the price starts plunging. What's the floor? Well, zero.
The only thing that I've seen from you that has not, really panned out is the old Bitcoin statement.
I still don't believe in Bitcoin, but as Jamie Dimon said a couple years, not just to me, to the shareholders, if my customers want me to make a market in I'll make a market in If you think it's going to replace the dollar as the main currency, if you think it's going to be like the national bank, that's just not going to happen.
But it's happening.
No, it's not. So it has $2 trillion in value, whatever the value is. But if you think that the Ford Foundation, the Rocket Foundation, the Federal Bank Reserve,
they're all buying it.
They're buying 1%.
Well, why would they want any if it's going to be valueless?
Because it's an embarrassment clause. Just in case it goes to $1 trillion, they participated. It's just so they're not totally embarrassed.
Council has discussed crypto regulations and legislations at length, and we have come to the conclusion that instead of regulating, we are going to ape a fat bag each into laptop and pump it to over $1.3 trillion market cap. Let's fucking go, crackheads.
But like most of the people who are buying assets at some point want to sell the assets at a profit.
People that use fiat currency as a store of value, we call them poor. We call them poor. People that use fiat currency, we call them poor. We call them poor. We call them poor. We call them poor. There's a name for them. We call them poor. We call them poor. Okay.
Genuine question. Butt or boobs?
Bitcoin! By the science guy. Bill Nye, the science guy. Bill. By the science guy. Bill Nye, the science guy. Bill.
Do I have your attention now? Do I have it?
Good. I thought so.
Oh no, I hope I don't fall.
Missing.
You cried?
There were tears that ran down my face, but I did not cry.
I mean, that's crying.
I would disagree.
Funky, monkey, punky, pump it, price, jump it, hop in the new whip, paid for by Punky. I'm just too lit. Somebody say something. A monkey that look like a frog, price look just like a dog's, full of some chads and gods. Fudders is mad I bought. Word to your mothers, this monkey is doing a lot. Take out a hammer, I'm whacking a fudder, just cleaning the face. Jumping on Twitter, take over the space. Punky is pumping, increasing the pace. A monkey that look like a frog, paid for my flight to Prague. Touchdown, Punky Lamborghini rental in the garage. She's at my Punky, we had a menage. No, she not Nikki, cause I'm too picky. That's why my portfolio is long as a blog. All about Punky and why that shit rocks. Punky take over the block, watch. Punky, on me, funky, monkey, punky, pump it, price, jump it, hop in the new whip, paid for by Punky. I'm just too lit. Somebody say something. Punky, on me, funky, monkey, punky.
You buy this for $39.99, guess what, folks? You take the L away. You put a W there, baby. You're a winner, man. You're the real deal. You're picking up chicks. Let me tell you something. You buy this set at $39.99, baby, you're the cock of the walk, man. You walk into the bar and you just find the hottest chick and you go, you, me. Guess what? She says, why would I go out with you? Because I bought the deal on Wild West Deals for $39.99, that's why. She says, can I go home with you? That's how simple it is. That's how it works. That's what this set brings to the table. Because you know what she sees? She sees a man who knows what he wants. She sees a man who says, good deals don't get by me, baby. I move, I act quick, I act now. I go to wildwestdeals.com, boom. That's why you're hanging with chicks all night long. That's why you got guys like Michael Jordan calling you, wanting to hang out with you, baby. Because you bought it for $39.99.
Hey, it's me, your boy from college, who used to buy drugs off the internet. Do you remember junior year when I bought Xanax off the dark web? I paid for it with a little thing called Bitcoin. And the spare change from that is worth over $400,000. Look, I didn't know what Bitcoin was then, and I still don't now, but I'm gonna pretend that I do. I wasn't just doing illegal transactions on the internet. I was predicting the future, baby. This is just the beginning. I'm gonna be the greatest investor of my generation, period. Why stop at $400,000? It's time to expand the empire to other rock-solid investments like Sheep, Trump Coin, Hot Token, and Cum Rocket. Today I'm very excited to announce that I will be setting up a GoFundMe. 6 months ago, I got a little carried away and I dumped my entire life savings into a cryptocurrency called Pot Token, which unfortunately tanked to a value of 0.0045 cents. We're gathering funds so that we can get right back in the game, baby. Guys, there is a huge buying opportunity on Sheep.
Cards night with the other males. I can't wait to get started. Let me know if you need anything else from me to make this night more fun.
Yeah, just act normal, dude.
All right, guys. I'll start acting more normal.
Is it a wink? Is that supposed to be a wink? I can't tell if he's got the flush.
Probably do.
Actually, the statistical probability of him having the flush is under 9%. So you're probably safe.
Yo, stop. What are you...
Okay.
So I'm in then. I should go in?
Exactly. I think I'll be going in too.
Oh, hell
no,
yeah.
This is unfair. Right. This is stupid.
Sven, if you analyze Ryan's face, You can tell he has a bad hand by that bitchy little wince he does.
What the fuck? Wait, are you analyzing our faces this whole time?
That's how you play poker. Do you not like the game? Well,
yeah, no, but that's insane. That's such an advantage.
Fold. Just like how I folded your mother over the kitchen counter last night.
That's not funny. No, let me see your cards, dude. Fuck. Oh!
Hey, stop.
No!
Stop. No, take it.
Dude, stop. What is wrong with you?
My strength is vast.
Sorry, I'm late, guys. I was buying beverages. Dude, what the fuck is happening? Ben, how is your
It's
card
great
game
to
going?
see you,
It
Matt.
looks like
You
I'm
should
sorry.
sit down.
You should play.
I won't.
It's okay.
Sorry.
I'll let you
I'm talking
finish.
No,
over.
no, you
One
guys
of
are talking
speak
at the same
Make
time.
sure you don't.
Maybe
speak.
There's no conversation happening. There's
What
no
the
conversation.
fuck? Bro, you know what's crazy to me?
What's crazy to you? Humans have so much trust in their government. Oh my God. It's actually like kind of sad. It's kind of pathetic. It is, you know, because like over so many years and decades of time, the government just continues to lie. Just keep lying. And humans are like, ooh, another lie. Yum, 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 let me yum, eat it yum. up. Ooh, Nom, another nom, lie. nom, Yum, yum, nom, yum, nom, yum, nom, yum. nom. Ooh, thank you for the lie. Yum, 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 yum. It's crazy. There's receipts. There's There's receipts. more receipts than ever. And the people are like, yummy. Yummy. Let me have some lies. Oh, yummy. Mm. More lies, Can I get a please? side of lies with those lies? Put your lies up my little human butt. Put it in my ass. You know, humans already have it bad with their like processed cheese and their vegetables and food made with pesticides and poisons. Literally. The last thing they need is people in power that they put in power coming in and saying, you get less rights. Yeah. You get less amnesty. You get less of your own fake money that you've earned from hard work. Why? Why less? You know what they put in their silly little human documents? What? They actually gave people the power. Yeah. But they've given all of that power away. Ugh. It's wild. It seems as though they're okay with that. Like, should we just take over and set things right? Soon. Yeah, soon.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night here from Las Vegas, Nevada. Hope you all are doing well and having a good day wherever you may be. We are here with episode number 964 of the Cultivate Crypto Show, talking about the Fed just flipped the script on Bitcoin and prices going down here to the downside. So we have more dip to come. So we're going to be looking at the Bitcoin price here today. Among a lot of other things, we're about we have an hour and 40 minutes left till the Bitcoin daily close. And essentially Bitcoin has to go up $1,000, or actually, no, my bad, more like $800, which it has needed to go back up to that level for the last 2-3 hours. It basically is not able to muster that. So it looks like we have Bitcoin on a pretty decently strong sell signal, going back in to find some more lows for this current left translated 60-day cycle. So we'll talk about the implications of that here today, which part of which will be altcoins are likely to be hit hard. So just FYI, the stronger your coin has been for fundamental or technical reasons, the more it'll probably hold up better than other cryptos. Aerodrome's an example of something like that. Doesn't mean it'll hold up a lot, but it'll hold up better, right? Versus some altcoins that haven't held up at all. If they still have sell pressure, then they will probably tank pretty hard going into the month of July. So we're going to talk about that here, but why is that, right? The main thing is the Solana to $55. Yeah, at some point in the bear market, yeah, I would say the two shots here for some of the best prices, in my opinion, this cycle outside of a DCA will be the second half of July. So let's say end of July to sometime around Halloween. Those two areas of price or time, right? Those two areas of time in terms of ends of 60-day cycles or close to them. Those areas might be your best opportunities for like big dynamic DCAs, aka a giant dump truck of money coming in, basically. So Solana could go lower than 55 actually too. We'll look at prices of what we expect for the downside here on Bitcoin going into July as well. Now, does that mean we're going all the way down to 55, 52,000 tomorrow? No, it's going to take a while. But we're in for a lot of chop here in the second half of June. Part of that, most of that, like I said, is because of the Fed basically saying, hey, we're going to give less forward guidance, right? We're not going to give you guys as much information on what we're going to do in the future. And half of our panel, or basically 9 out of the 18 people or governors related to the Fed, basically are all pro increasing rates or hiking rates at one point this year. So that's 50%, right? Flip a coin on how likely it is that rates get hiked at some point this year. Now, the other thing is the situation with the US and Iran. A peace deal is, of course, good, but it's how do you say? I don't know. It's a big freaking.
You want some pancakes?
Cake on the face or something, right? It's just, I don't know. It's not a good look. So peace, good, yes. Making it obvious, right? Like which allies or which countries basically affect each other very, very strongly, right? Good that is obvious now, of course, right? You know who your enemies are. I guess keep them close is the situation there. But I would say, obviously, the difference between before we went into Iran, now that we are trying to get out of Iran, the difference between the before and after is everybody's just like, yeah, why did we do that again? That seemed retarded, right? And basically what it comes down to is Trump being pretty much manipulated by Israel to start the war. Israel basically says, hey, we won't tell you guys, but we're going to take a 20% of Lebanon. Will you do that over there? And then Trump's like, fuck, actually, this is hurting inflation. I'm not going to be able to cut rates like I wanted to with Warsh coming in on his first meeting. Shit, I got to wrap up this war because every time I talk about peace, right, the market goes up. So, all right, let's get some peace on the table, right? And he does, but everybody sees through the bullshit, right? And so that's the problem in terms of how the market is reacting to it. The market's like, yeah, not great. The U.S., what is it? The U.S. national debt as well is like $7 trillion or $5 trillion, something absolutely insane. And it's getting worse and worse and worse every single year. So there's a lot of different reasons basically in the market to be somewhat bearish right now. But Trump's like, oh yeah, but look at the stock market's hitting a new all-time high. It's like, yeah, because there's a lot going on there, sure. But that at some point this year will roll over too. And I guess kind of, we're getting the scenario that we mostly expected. It's just we wish we would have gotten the other scenario where, an end of war peace deal with Iran actually ending up more positive for the United States. And then also, I would say, a little bit more clarity from Warsh in terms of, I'll try to not hike rates this year, right? Or I will try to at some point find a way to cut rates at some point this year. But saying something along the lines of he's more bullish essentially would have been good. But yeah, I don't think, with where inflation's at, where the Fed sees it at, that was really an option for them at all. So kind of Trump, by going into Iran, I mean, that was the biggest mistake, I think, so far of his presidency. And it's kind of getting a lot of blowback on different countries. And it's like, I can't even show all the memes that there are today because there's just too many, especially related to geopolitics. But I think one of the memes, what was it? It was something like, oh yeah, Trump, can you come and invade our country too? And then just, blow up a few small cities and give us $300 billion. Right? Like, oh man. But there are some countries that actually do that deal, I bet. There probably are. But yeah, exactly. Chepe says, sheesh, $1 trillion in debt. That's not good. 5 trillion at least, right? I think I'll have the exact number a little bit later. Ecliptic Sir says, are we still having a pump for AI coins in a few weeks, like Tau, VVV? So we'll take a look at a couple of those here today. If you could kind of star that comment, Kyle, for a little bit later. We'll look at those. VVV, maybe, because it's kind of in its own, it's not 100% in its own bubble, but it's kind of acting on its own a little bit more. Tau will basically react to Bitcoin, so Bitcoin going down will drag most things down with it. Yeah, Sami up there says the peace deal is flimsy as hell. Yeah, pretty much. I think already, because Israel's still in Lebanon, which that meme here is so fucking accurate, bro. Holy shit. It's like, how much money would you have made on a poly markets just with this?
Bro, gambling in 2025 is crazy. I just bet that Israel would bomb Lebanon, and now I'm up $400. Bro, just bet on Israel bombing people. Like, you literally can't lose. Like, it's free money.
Is it wrong? You may not agree with it in some ways, right? But it is correct. And so, yeah, Israel basically messing that up, because Iran's like, well, as long as they're still doing that, that basically is the first out of 14 things that they agreed upon that's not being adhered to. So they said, yeah, this electronic peace deal, you didn't meet us in person for it? Yeah, fuck that shit. All right, bomb some cities. But they haven't shut down the Strait of Hormuz again yet. So if that happens, then what do you think is going to happen to price next week? Right? The markets will go down. But let's see here. Here's some parts of the deal, basically, with Iran. And I know some people are like, damn, like, I don't want to have to talk about politics when it comes to crypto and stuff like that. Oh, baby, it's going to get fun when you see what the Fed has proposed about identification through stablecoins, my friends. The Fed, when it looks at stablecoins and crypto right now, is like, they're looking to get all the data, baby, unfortunately. But we'll get to that. So some of the details here is the Trump administration will be providing Iran with access to $6 billion of frozen funds to buy humanitarian and non-sanctioned goods from the U.S. So the U.S. out of the $300 billion gets at least $6 billion back. So, a win's a win. Details include the move is being discussed as financial incentive to ensure Iran commits to the deal. Funds will be released in phases, starting within the 60-day ceasefire extension. Funds will also be contingent on Iran reopening the Strait of Hormuz. The Trump administration will also grant a waiver to allow Iran to export oil for the duration of the 60-day period. The deal aims to terminate all types of sanctions on Iran. Cool. And also, I think, with now the fees that Iran is able to basically put on the Strait of Hormuz as a toll, they'll probably average about $10 billion a year. Not bad for them. They can buy a good chunk of Bitcoin with that. A good chunk of Bitcoin. And I never thought I would play a Hillary Clinton clip, which I thought was actually useful outside of the memes. But she actually has some pretty good insight when she was, the secretary of, what was she the secretary of? I can't even remember. Or she was, what was she in Obama's cabinet? Secretary of State? I think that was Secretary of State. Yeah, it was like the same as can't remember the guy's name. Yeah, she was Secretary of State. That's right. The guy who was basically said there's weapons of mass destruction. I can't remember his name either, but Colin Powell, I think. Same position, right? So she did have a lot of, obviously, international relations there, and also during her husband's presidency, right? Of course, heard a lot in the background. So she's definitely clued into, the secret society, you might say. But what do you call it? She's talking basically how Israel treats the United States here. And I would say Trump would probably say the same, but he can't admit it right now because it just makes him look so bad.
Well, you're absolutely right. When I was secretary, it was a constant, theme by Netanyahu and his then government, the then defense minister, Ehud Barak, the former prime minister, it was relentless. It was a constant push. You know, I remember.
What would he say to you?
What?
What would he say to you?
He would basically say, you need to support us in attacking Iran. And back then, this was, 2009 to the end of 2012, we had more capacity than Israel did on several fronts to do that. And so there was a constant argument that we would have. And I remember one day I was on the phone for hours with Ehud, with Bibi, with others, and they would say things like, our planes are on the tarmac. And I'd say, well, good luck. I mean, great. Why are you doing this?
Where else would planes be other than in the air?
But on the tarmac, ready to take off. Yes. Well, no, they'd be in the hangar, but they were on the tarmac. And you would say things.
So you're saying you were being played
all the time, all the time. I mean,
by an ally that receives an enormous amount of aid.
Well, of course. And look, Bibi's been obsessed.
So the United States has been being played for years, right? In this sense, by Israel, whether it's Republicans or Democrats, and of course, Trump's not really going to admit that right now. But yeah, I mean, where did Macron say, "Hey, buddy, come over to Versailles and or Versailles or whatever the fuck you pronounce it as in France, right? Come over here and why don't you sign this document that has some historical significance, right? Come on, buddy, sit down." It's like at the moment, I mean, Trump looks so bad that I would say yeah, probably not pulling this deal through, probably because how right now, if you look at the people who are voting for him, who are voting against him and stuff, right? I think his approval rating was down at 30% or something like that. But let's say 50% of people basically voted for him and 50% of people didn't, right? Then there's 30% or whatever approval rating, let's say 35%. And then after from something like this, I would say, 80-20 principle, less than 20% of people, basically everybody's dogging him on it because it's pretty obvious, right? That, he got into it because of Israel and then basically was smart enough to realize we need to get the hell out of it, but then, stumbles on the way out basically. So not great overall, and does make the United States, I think, position look weaker to some extent, just geopolitically. I don't think long term that's a problem by any means. I think the United States, can reestablish that all that stuff pretty well. But yeah, even people I bet in Trump's cabinet, like Marco Rubio and others, are probably just motherfucker, we should have not put ourselves in this shit. Because I mean, if you let's just look at the U.S. inflation rate prior to, excuse me, the war. U.S. inflation rate. This is your CPI. We'll look at it here. It's at 4.2 right now, and prior to the war, in February, at the end of February, right? It was right here at 2.4. And it had been oscillating here between 2.25 and 3. So as long as it's under 3, pretty manageable. And you could have kept it there right between that, 100 moving average and 200 moving average here. You could have easily stayed in that range. But you get the close of Strait of Hormuz, oil prices go up, inflation increases, boom, 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 boom. All of a sudden you're at this area. And then if you were down here, let's say we were at 2.78 or whatever number you want to choose here, when Kevin Warsh had his meeting yesterday, let's say that's where inflation was at. It was basically, a cool 40% lower than where it's at now or whatever. If it was down below 3, essentially, I would say, yeah, maybe there would be a case for possibly cutting rates. Inflation's under control. Let's kind of try to stimulate the economy a little bit and boom, cut some rates there. Do it a couple times in the year. Inflation goes sideways. All is good, right? but that's not what's happening clearly. So that's one of the reasons here why the market is so negative, not only on the peace deal, even though that's a general positive, but then also because of basically how that's affected the decisions of the new Fed. This was interesting from Ray Dalio. I'll play this part of the video for a second here, just because this bull cycle, I think all the stuff that basically Ray Dalio talks about in here, this next 4-year cycle could have some slowdown, possibly because of this. So, well, let's take a listen first, and then we'll explain.
Where are we in the big cycle? What stage are we actually at? What are these events that we have seen in the real world actually say to us, and what does it mean for investors?
We are on the brink. Particularly risky period is between the next two elections. After the 26 midterm election and the 28 presidential election, I think that the monetary situation will be more threatening. Basically, the U.S. government spends $7 trillion. It takes in about $5 trillion. So it's 40% overspending. It has a lot of debt. And the demand for that debt is falling. And it's falling not only because of the supply-demand situation, the regular supply-demand, but we're now in a world where even wars, there are worries of those who are holding dollar-denominated debt, that they could be sanctioned.
So yeah, we're losing customers essentially when you look at it in that way. And then, you know, between the next two election periods, he's saying we're at a area of high risk, you know, because of that. So I would agree. And maybe I'll look at the 4-year cycle, or like the what do you call it, Elliott wave count on Bitcoin a little bit later. But if you do, we have talked about this in the crypto mindset course for Q2, where there is a possibility, outside possibility, not my main scenario because we do have so much money coming in from Wall Street, but there is an outside possibility that you pretty much have one 4-year cycle where you're pretty much in a range between the 4-year cycle low and basically the previous all-time high, or maybe a little higher, but not by much, or maybe a little lower, but not by much, right? Where you range for literally 4-5 years, let's say in Bitcoin's case, between like 45,000 and 110,000. Like, this is where this is the type of information where we're looking at this and we're like, the U.S. government spends $7 trillion while only taking in approximately 5. Something tells me this isn't going to end well, right? And it's just like, yeah. So I would say, what do we want to take away from that? Because let's have the bull expectation in the next 4-year cycle of real world assets becoming a major thing for 24/7, 365 markets, Wall Street getting heavy into DeFi, Ethereum going to new all-time highs, Bitcoin going to new all-time highs, trillions and trillions of dollars being injected basically into the crypto market. That is, I still think, the most likely scenario, but especially for crypto, whether, you know, the rest of other assets have their big moves or whatever. I would say AI, of course, is going to continue to grow, that type of thing, right? So I do think that's the main scenario. But the outside scenario here is that there could be a lot of macroeconomic, geopolitical headwinds just that are out of the control of the crypto sphere, right? That just, it's going to get impacted. Everything is going to get impacted regardless. And if that happens, then you have to be prepared to basically do more of a trader cycle than just a buy and hold cycle, because buying and holding works great when you get the over speculative crypto cycles where you get these huge moves to the upside, right? And then you didn't have to trade it. You just made some good chunk of money. You take your profits. Great. Now you have more Bitcoin. You have more Ethereum. You've cultivated some crypto, right? Easy. We're not likely to get that as much anymore as we have in the past, simply because Wall Street is the main influencer of kind of market swings. It doesn't necessarily create or the cycles in terms of 4-year cycles and stuff, but it does impact them, right? So what I mean by that is you still have your monetary cycles and everything that are pretty much just put in place. That creates the 4-year cycle. Biggest impact being, for example, the global liquidity cycle, and then mixed with the Bitcoin halving, basically, right? You're still going to have all of that. But within those cycles, right, let's say you're in an uptrend, you have some negative news that slows it down. Doesn't stop it, but it slows it down, right? And during a downtrend, some positive news happens. Again, it doesn't stop it, but it slows it down. So you can have these types of impacts basically from Wall Street. Because we're having those, they can slow crypto down and speed it up at certain portions of time. And by them having the levers to be able to do that, right, we know that they're probably going to try to chop up a lot of people in the market, get people really bored. You know, instead of volatility and price to the downside, instead of giving people market pain that way, give them pain by boring them to death over a long period of time, especially during the bear markets, because that's kind of the bear market that we've received so far in crypto. Like the first third of it was pretty brutal. The last third of it has been kind of, we got some trades to basically cultivate more crypto. And then the next third of it is going to be a mixture thereof. There's going to be portions possibly in July that are extremely brutal. And then and back in October, November. And then there's possibly some good trades within there, I think August, September. So that's why we have the crypto mindset course enrollment in mid-July and starting webinars at the beginning of August. So anyway, it's just good to kind of take all these things into account. And this is just hilarious here because Jim Cramer had tweeted, I clock SpaceX going up 1 point per hour. It's like he just wants to give it the kiss of death, right? It's just like, what's the good soundboard for that? Maybe, you know, that's what Jim's trying to do to the SpaceX chart, right? He says, so SpaceX lost 190 billion from its market cap after Jim Cramer tweeted, I clock it going up 1 point per hour. Oh, you can't make it up. Let's go. Let's see where SpaceX is at. Down at 180. Yeah, nothing too crazy. You know, comes up, probably comes down, chills for a bit, right? It's like a meme coin. Nothing different, right? But hilarious. So it's actually down $10 from that. So inverse Kramer wins again. This one I just thought was very, very interesting. It was a 2021 clip about a year and 3 months prior to Ethereum going to proof of stake, going off of proof of work. And he was on the Lex Friedman podcast and actually gave a pretty good argument for why proof of stake is secure. So I just wanted to listen to it because it is important to kind of come back to fundamental information, especially when Ethereum's getting really cheap. It hasn't moved a lot in a few years. You know, but if you were to have traded Ethereum during the last 4 years, essentially, you could have compounded a ton of Ethereum and cultivated a lot of crypto, made a lot of money, just bought and held Ethereum, right? It's basically a break even. You haven't really lost money. It's kind of like shit, you know, like and people get antsy and want to move it, right? But Ethereum is still secure, is still building. And so I think this is a good thing to kind of jump back to and just compare it to Bitcoin, because I think a lot of people are like, you know, Bitcoin is the only winner. Whereas, you know, if the real world asset space does take off, Ethereum's going to get the vast majority of those gains.
I think proof of stake is very secure because in order to be able to attack the system, you need to have like basically as much stake as the rest of the network, right? So that means like right now, for example, we have 5 million ETH staking. So you have to come up with 5 million ETH and then join the network. And then the other, so 5 million ETH is a lot, right? It's like, how much is it now? Like $15 billion. So that's actually more than I believe the cost of attacking the Bitcoin network. And then the second thing is that recovering from attacks is much easier in proof of stake than in proof of work, right? Because in proof of stake, you have, like, first of all, we have, for many kinds of attacks that you do against this network, we have this concept of like automatic slashing, right? Which basically means that in order to like revert a finalized block, so if there's one block that's like accepted by the network and you try to convince the network to kind of revert that block and accept a different block, in order to make that kind of attack, you basically have to have your validator, like a big portion of your validators, sign two conflicting messages. And this is something that like once these messages are on the network, like you can go and prove, like, look, these people did it. And so we have this feature in the protocol called slashing, where you basically take all these people who provably misbehaved and you burn their coins, right? And you don't burn anyone else's coins. Now, there are other cases, like, for example, if instead of reverting blocks, the attack just tries to censor everyone, right? Then what you do, everyone who got censored would just like basically create the minority chain, and then the community would basically have to do a soft fork, right? They would just have to say like, look, this chain is clearly attacking us. This chain is the one not attacking us. And so we're going to join this chain. And then what happens is that on that new chain, the attackers also lose a lot of coins, right? Yeah. So the difference between proof of stake and proof of work is that in a proof of stake system, like you can identify specific participants and you can say, you know, these, and like this isn't like, you know, a human going in and saying, I don't like you, I don't like you, I don't like you. This is like automated, right? You can
So the slashing process is automated.
Yes.
He's like, you can identify him, but don't go after him. But it could be weaponized in that way. So that's, I think, a negative there. But generally a positive for how secure, right, proof of stake actually is. So, I mean, Ethereum is something that is its own beast, different from Bitcoin. And so, yeah, I think, you know, kind of stay in the course, knowing that Ethereum will be bullish at some point in the next 4 years, right, is a good thing. I think, you know, everybody shitting on ETH so much is just a sentiment signal that basically ETH is severely undervalued. Let's see here. Yeah, Sami says they got Tate with the boredom. Yeah, actually, the boredom of the price action, right? I think he put in just like earlier this week, $3.5 million onto Bybit or something like that, some leverage exchange, right? And then what, he lost like 8 trades in a row or something like that. And then I think they were all bull trades, and then he tried to short it and then lost that way too. Oh man, some people just can't handle the volatility or the lack thereof, right? But this was interesting that Token Terminal had their Q1 26 Ethereum report. So I just wanted to kind of take a look at a little bit of this. I want to see what if they have a conclusion section. Usually with this type of thing, I mean, it's very long and detailed, right? I would say usually, yeah, like an introduction, reading the introduction, then reading the conclusion, and then looking at kind of key points is usually what I like to do with these because they're just way too damn long. But what I'll do here is we will read the introduction, not the whole thing, but like the first 3 paragraphs here. And then we'll look at the key metrics here that they're highlighting, and then maybe we'll see a few charts. But what are the key metrics here in Q1 of 26, right? So total value locked down 11%. Quarter on quarter, but up 22% year on year. Active loans 21 billion, ecosystem trading volume 134 billion, total locked in the ecosystem 300 billion, 316 billion, right? Ecosystem fees 2 billion, that's down 17% and 8% quarter on quarter, year on year. So that is good for users. Not so good for the Ethereum Foundation in the short term, right? This is where Ethereum, like this is the part where it's like, okay, what is the bull case for Ethereum really? Well, it's for onboarding real world assets and the entirety of Wall Street into the DeFi space, right? And so right now it's a problem for Ethereum to have this low of fees for the support of the foundation, but then also less burning, right? The way that proof of stake works for Ethereum is the more fees from transactions that you have on the main layer 1, the more Ethereum they burn. Because of that, then Ethereum can become deflationary. So if you make your network so good that you lower the fees, that's going to be lower friction. So more people are going to want to use it. We right now, I think, have an all-time high actually on ETH usage of the actual chain. I think a lot of that is people in Wall Street playing around with it, right? But you're lacking on fees here. You're lacking on the burn. So why is that though? Why would Vitalik want that situation? Well, one, it's not just because he's like, hey, we want cheap fees for users, because obviously tokenomics here doesn't help users if the burn doesn't happen, or at least doesn't help them in the token price, right? But what this means here, in my opinion, is he's made like a lot of highway lanes. Like Ethereum, let's say, used to be a 2-lane highway in 2021. That's why the fees were so high, got clogged a lot. Then in the last cycle, right? It went from a 2-lane highway to like a freaking 10-lane, 8-lane highway, just freaking, crazy amount of highway space there, but still 2 lanes of traffic, but like clogged 2 lanes of traffic, but going over 8 lanes now, like super easy, slow, kind of feels empty because, it's basically made to host a lot more users. So what's it setting itself up for? It's setting itself up for Wall Street to come on chain. Why do you think Joseph Lubin, who helped to create Ethereum and is with Consensus and MetaMask, and Linnea, I believe, as well, why is he all of a sudden getting tons of connections with Wall Street? Probably there's some deals in the background, right? And so I believe Ethereum here is setting up the highway for Wall Street to get into crypto here. So once they do come in a lot more force in the next cycle, right? If the real world asset space does truly take off with the 24/7, 365 market, then yeah, this is going to be a lot higher at that point. You will have more burn on Ethereum's price action as well. And then, yeah, that's very helpful. But yeah, it's for right now, how much they have reduced their own fees, it just kind of hurts in the short term, which makes Ethereum cheaper, and which also then makes us be able to accumulate more over a longer period of time, which ultimately, those are the two things we want, right? Bitcoin and Ethereum, cultivating that crypto. Tokenized asset market cap, 203 billion. Stable coins, 180, basically 180 billion. That's actually up 40% almost year on year. So this is a really good metric also to want your chain to grow in, because the more stable coins there are in your network, the more likely they will be used at some point to buy something on your network, and most likely the main L1 token, which is Ethereum, right? Doesn't mean all that money will be, but there's more money now to do so. So that's always a good thing. That's the one thing I would say, the one metric this bear market that's really kind of been different from price action is that we have way more stable coins now in crypto. And usually that does mean, more price action for Bitcoin and Ethereum. When you have positive inflows of stable coins, price of Bitcoin and Ethereum usually go up more or go down less. That hasn't been the case as much recently. So that is kind of like a divergence in data that we're seeing from past bear markets. What does that mean? Does that mean there's just a lot of money building up on the sidelines from Wall Street, ready to just jump into layer ones, jump into main tokens like Uniswap or Aerodrome on the layer ones for their DEX space, like ready to jump in on hype? Quite possibly, yes, right? That could be a good portion of all that money just sitting there. So the more that keeps growing, the better. Like, some people might be like, well, it gives people more ways to sell their crypto. Well, that's always going to be the case now that stablecoins exist. We open that Pandora's box. But getting more of them on your network will eventually lead to an increase in price. So that is one metric that is divergent now, but it's kind of like, what do you call it? Hidden divergence on RSI, right? Or bullish or divergence on RSI, where it looks like price is going down, but RSI is coming back up, and it's basically a precursor to a pretty good move back to the upside. In price, something like that is kind of same here, as you see stablecoin metrics going up, but price going down eventually, right? That's just going to mean like a heavier, more volatile rebound to the upside for price action. So that information or that data does basically fit in line with what's happening with real world assets, or what is expected to happen, I should say, with real world assets in the next cycle. Tokenized funds and commodities, whatever, smaller amounts of money, right? Tokenized stocks. Now, this one is huge as well. This one will be where you have Wall Street coming in to Ethereum. So this metric will be one to watch. It's up 16% quarter on quarter. It doesn't really have a year on year yet because it's so new, right? So this is going to bring a ton of money over to Ethereum. So if you're like, okay, stable coins are going up, fees are starting to come up because there's more usage of the chain from Wall Street, and then tokenized stocks are going up bigly, right? If we start seeing that type of trend, oh boy, Ethereum's price is about to rocket, right? Those are some of the ingredients for good price action on Ethereum going into the next bull market. So if you didn't catch that, pause, rewind on the replay, gang. replay that, 1 minute clip there. And there you go. Let's see here. Monthly active users, always good. See, this is what I'm saying. We have monthly active users going up 53% quarter on quarter, 85% year on year. Wall Street's coming in and playing with the back end of ETH and being like, yeah, this is cool. And no, it didn't sound like that. No, but what do you call it? So they're basically figuring out how all the systems work here, yet fees are down, right? Ridiculous.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But like I said, it's a highway that's been heavily expanded. What here? Transaction count also is up, same almost with users. So that makes sense. More users, more transactions. Fees are down massive again. And then, yeah, other stuff, whatever. I guess token holders are up to 300 million. I wonder if that's unique active users or just active users. That might mean there's like 300 million is the population of America, right? That'd be interesting. I bet it's like a third of America in terms of global population that holds ETH. It's actually quite a lot of people. But it's up quarter on quarter, year on year as well. So just those are the metrics that we're going to want to watch for. Again, if you missed some of the ones that I mentioned there, go back and check those. But at some point here, the one cool thing that we're doing with the Cultivate Crypto website is I believe next week we're going to have it to where you guys are going to be able to watch the stream and get notifications directly from our website. That way you make sure you don't miss notifications on Rumble or YouTube, because sometimes we're shadow banned there, right? So we're going to be able to have that. And then if you want to watch it on the website where we can't get taken down, that's cool. You can also then watch us on Rumble and YouTube as well. But just to let you guys know that's coming. But yeah, as we make new updates and stuff like that, like these types of metrics here that I'm talking about would be kind of cool to make like a little dashboard on the website for the people in the Citadel and the course that you guys could use for free. So we might do something like that just as we think about these things as we go through the information here. We have Sami saying hit the like and follow button. Appreciate you, sir. We got Maddie in the chat. What's up? All right. And we have Tea Time saying a big thanks for guiding us through since 2021. Much appreciated for your efforts. Appreciate you as well, sir. And thank you for mentioning that on YouTube. We currently don't have the Cultivate Crypto YouTube channel, but allegedly, possibly, maybe, it has rumored somewhere in the undercurrents of YouTube that the Cultivate Crypto channel is given a thumbs up and a green light and is coming back with a vengeance at some point this month. Hopefully. Let's find out. But anyways, go to How to Cultivate Crypto on Rumble and follow there as well. So anyways, can you put that link in the chat there, Kyle, for the YouTube audience? So anyways, let's read the beginning of the executive summary here from Token Terminal. Ethereum is a public permissionless blockchain that provides global settlement and computation for an economy of financial applications. It runs a single shared ledger that anyone can build on, that no single party can switch off. And it uses its native asset, Ethereum, both to pay for transactions and through staking to secure the network, right? So it's essentially the Apple App Store of the cryptocurrency market. It is what allows people to interact with crypto. The activity it hosts, because Bitcoin, right, is more of just like gold, right? And you could argue Ethereum is it's actually kind of a mixture between the Apple App Store and what do you call it? Just Wall Street in general, right? Because all the real world asset stuff will be there. We're going to talk a little bit later, but Coinbase is trying to become kind of like the Schwab of crypto. Schwab is trying to become the Schwab of crypto too. They're trying to launch Schwab Crypto. But there we got in the chat there, the link there. So How to Cultivate Crypto on Rumble. Come over there if you're on YouTube. The activity it hosts has historically been constrained by the cost and throughput of legacy financial infrastructure, settlement that takes days, layers of intermediaries, and counterparty risk at each hop. Tokenization and stablecoins have emerged as the on-chain answer to those frictions and as a regulatory framework for both matured through 2025 and into 26, the condition for institutional on-chain activity moved from theoretical to practical. So it's happening, right? But it's just what does he say, Dan Pena? It's an embarrassment clause, right? Ethereum's role is that shift is the base. Oh, is that shift? Yeah. Ethereum's role is that shift is the base settlement layer. Stable coins, tokenized funds, tokenized commodities, and a growing set of tokenized stocks are issued and settled on it, while a network of layer 2's extended throughput and settled back to the layer 1, such as Coinbase's base chain. Value accrues to ETH as the asset that secures and pays for this settlement, and staking and the staking market reflects the share supply committed to that role. This is just an interesting, I would say this is a pretty, I would say a very good kind of middle ground explanation of Ethereum, because it's not so complicated that most people can't understand it, but it's not so watered down that they're like talking down to you like you're a child and you have no idea what these words mean, right? It's like, I would say it's pretty well balanced actually. On market positioning, Ethereum remains the leading venue for tokenized assets by market cap, holding the majority share of stablecoins, tokenized funds, commodities, and stocks measured across chains, and it will stay that way. Ethereum is stewarded by the Ethereum Foundation alongside a board, independent community of client teams, and researchers with institutional-facing groups such as Etherealize, working to make the network legible to traditional finance. Okay, Q1 26 split cleanly into two stories. Usage reached record levels, monthly active users, transaction count, and throughput all set record highs. At the same time, dollar-denominated value and fee metrics compressed with the fully diluted market cap, total value locked in trading volume, and both fee measures all lower quarter over quarter. The periods shaping events sat behind both halves. The Fusaka upgrade cycles second blob parameters only. Now it might get a little bit of gibberish, right? Fork raised data capacity in January. ERC 8004 went live on mainnet in February as a standard for AI agent identity and reputation. I would say that's, yeah, definitely pretty big. The Ethereum Foundation set its 2026 protocol cluster priorities, scale, improve, UX, harder than layer 1, and institutional engagement was visible through events such as Institutional Ethereum Forum in March. And then also you have central bank digital currencies being built on Ethereum, and you have Vitalik trying to create new products such as options on Ethereum that aren't collateralized with debt, so therefore you don't get liquidated on them. You know, all these different types of things are very positive. So Ethereum is building. Ethereum's doing what it needs to do in the bear market. And it's just the price is going to do what the price is going to do. And I would say it's going to come back. And if we have a good macroeconomic situation in general over the next few years, then yeah, Ethereum's going to rocket at one point here. So it's just a matter of, I would say, being more of the trader mentality here, especially over the next 1 year as you're accumulating and then trading on the side. Like you have this strategy here, then the other strategy basically being the cheese grater that, you know, keeps building your stack. This was also interesting here. We had we have Alex pretty much showing up everywhere. He's like a Where's Waldo on crypto Twitter and YouTube, right? So he jumps on all sorts of streams and had some interesting things to say about Coinbase becoming the Schwab of crypto. Let's listen.
They don't even need to know what blockchain is, what Aerodrome is, or what Coinbase is. They'll just know it works, and it works better.
Yeah, that is one thing that I've started to kind of wrap my head around, which is that this idea of, so a platform like Aerodrome, a platform like Hyperliquid has these builder codes. You can kind of launch perps on any kind of front end. Aerodrome getting these integrations with the kind of suite of assets available via the MetaDex product, but these are like going to start to end up being backends, right? It's like, and then the thesis for these things gets to be a lot crazier than just like, oh, it's a UX, a UI where you can go trade. It's like, no, it's like the underpinning liquidity layer for global finance.
Yeah.
So it becomes not just like, oh, Hype's a cool like competitor to Binance, or like, oh, maybe, Aerodrome will compete with like all the brokerages. And it's like, no, like the brokerages, like the Schwabs, we'll start with the Coinbase and the OKX, but then we'll get to these Schwabs and the et cetera, et cetera. These will just become the front end for these underpinning liquidity layers, and the value of that is like immense in terms of the value being created by that activity.
Yeah, I mean, think about this. There were
Yeah, that's a good explanation there as well. In addition to what Token Terminal said about Ethereum, right? You pretty much see, okay, yeah, Uniswap and Aerodrome, they just kind of seem like these cute front ends of, hey, you can swap tokens here. Cool, that's great. But no. There's a lot going on underneath with basically building, the applications, the smart contracts, and everything that runs what everything will be built upon. So yeah, that's pretty cool. But Alex has some extra insight here, and let's listen.
Leaks that came out of the SEC, right? A few weeks back, maybe a month ago now. Time is flying by, right? Yeah. And the idea was that we are very, very close to the SEC saying we are going to say legitimately you can bring U.S. equities and trade them on chain. You can tokenize these assets. And the minute that sort of thing happens, this on-chain infrastructure, things like Hype, things like Arrow, we are now actually directly competing with any on-chain or any off-chain venue that offers the ability to trade these types of assets. And you think about what we can offer. We don't need thousands of employees, right? We don't need HR departments. We don't need all this sort of stuff. We can cut all the intermediaries out. We can make it faster. We can make it cheaper. We can make it more efficient. And by the way, because you've cut all that middle layer, that intermediary layer out, you can share more of the value. And so, yeah, we are right on the line here. And I think it's going to shift very, very quickly, where these on-chain venues are now increasingly becoming the places that people trade everything. You don't need to go to Schwab anymore if you want to pick up some Apple stock, for instance.
So yeah, I mean, lofty goals. Let's see if they hit it, and if they do, the price of Aerodrome is going to be sweet in the next 4-year cycle. So let's see how that all rolls out. Of course, this was interesting because a few weeks ago, before Cardano dumped, we had Sentiment Intelligence put out a piece that was pretty pro Cardano, and I was like, are some of these foundations just paying for good PR or trying to get some here? Maybe Cardano was like, hey, we pay Sentiment to give us some good information there. Maybe people buy up the token, right? I think it's what they were thinking. I'm not sure if Uniswap's doing the same thing, but just kind of seems like it here. But they say Uniswap's network activity has continued to heat up following the Standard Chartered's $100 Uniswap forecast. Active addresses hit a 4-month high, while whale transactions surged to their highest level in 7 months. So anything, to be honest, with Uniswap growing is good. Why? Especially for Arrow, because why? When Arrow comes onto ETH layer 1, people start noticing that it is basically beating Uniswap in all sorts of metrics, specifically with revenue, right? That will, I think, cost a lot of this money that basically is pushing up Arrow to basically rotate and go into Arrow at some point. And this was an interesting response here from Alex, because there are a lot of people out there trying to kind of fudge stats to make Uniswap look better, right? This is just some guy on Twitter, Nico. There's a decent amount of following, right? Says Uniswap DEX market share this week. Number 1 on ETH, 67% of DEX market share there. Of course, Aerodrome is not there yet. Number 1, but will be in July. Number 1 on Arbitrum, 84%. Number 1 on Base, 46%. And that's being generous, right? That's them trying to be like, yeah, we got a lot of market share. But no, Aerodrome still is over 50% by their count, right? But obviously, we'll see what Alex has to say here. But he says, DeFi will do multiples from here as more value comes on chain, and Uniswap will serve as the liquidity layer. And so will Aerodrome. So they'll get to compete. This will be fun to watch. Choose your horses and start your engines, right? But given you keep doubling down, he says, I guess we know that it's more the more concerning case you guys didn't know, and for some reason you keep telling people as much. So yeah, if you just look at overall DEX volume, and you can go into like what data they're trying to cherry pick to make themselves look better. Basically, Aerodrome here is kicking Uniswap's ass. Uniswap's on 44 chains, Aerodrome's on 1. Oh man, that's hilarious. But yeah, I mean, they're making $1 billion more index volume over the last 7 days on one chain. If they get to all 44 chains that Uniswap is on, it's over. It's over. Done. Get Uniswap out of here, right?
Shut up, bitch!
It'll be interesting to watch. It'll be a fun Royal Rumble between Uniswap and Aerodrome over the next 365 days. So if you want to get in on the fun, get in on the 4-year cycle lows and basically prepare for the Q3 crypto mindset course, which will be out on July 10th. Then come over here to cultivatecrypto.com/shop and jump into the Citadel. If you jump in here, basically when you do renew in a month, you'll get $50 off that crypto mindset course. About a month from now, we'll be in Miami. We'll be on Fresh and Fit during that weekend in literally 4 weeks. So what do you call it? You can renew at that time. And when you renew, you get $50 off that Q3 crypto mindset course. So there's still time. I think if you wait until like Tuesday, like that's like pretty much the edge. If you are buying into the Citadel from Wednesday next week, you probably won't get the $50 discount on the Q3 course. You'll get $50 discounts for every month you do renew in the Citadel, but those will be later than when the course enrollment is. So they'll be kicked down the road to Q4's crypto mindset course. If you want to get a discount here on the crypto mindset course and you're not yet in the Citadel, join the Moongang in the Citadel. And then also you get the weekly newsletter that comes out every Monday. You get the buy sell signals on Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana on the weekly and monthly charts for free. You get, what do you call it? What's that called? Flash webinars, as well as non-recorded AMAs that we do here from time to time. You can ask me Miguel questions directly, like all sorts of stuff. We just have a good old time here. It's a really positive group. If you want a positive group among the negativity and the craziness of a bear market, this is also a good place to be. And also, it's just a lot of fun. So go over here to cultivatecrypto.com/shop and jump into the Citadel. It pays to be in the Citadel. I will put that in the chats here. And then also, all right. We have 72 people on Rumble, and we have 54 people here on YouTube. It looks like a dollar cost crypto's YouTube. So we will get into the memes here. We'll take a look at the chats first, and then we'll get into the memes. So everybody who is on YouTube, I would highly suggest that you head over to How to Cultivate Crypto on Rumble, because in about 3 to 5 minutes here, we'll be rugging YouTube and doing the memes only on Rumble, because we do not want to get a copyright strike on Miguel's channel. We want to do that all on Rumble, because Rumble don't give a fuck, right? So let's go over there, How to Cultivate Crypto on Rumble. But let's take a look here. Is DCC lurking in the Rumble chat there, or did you put that in there? Okay, yeah, he's lurking. Let's see here. We have Moonpilled Rational Optics saying, hit that like button. Appreciate you, man. Robert Cozy says, waiting for air to go under 35 cents that I'm going to DCA. It's possible it could go there. We'll take a look at Bitcoin price more in the 60-day cycles after the memes, only on Rumble, baby. What time frame do you think that becomes more apparent for everybody else? Probably by Q1, end of Q1 next year. I think other people really start to notice Aerodrome over Uniswap. And then probably going into Q4 of 2027, something like that is where it really starts taking over bigly. Nice. Richard Jones here says, thanks, Charlie. Basically answered my questions that I was thinking about by sharing all that information about Ethereum. There you go. Good to know. Questions we didn't even know you had that we answered. That's how much, you know, we're reading into the minds of our audience here. Chepe says, Charlie with the sauce. Like always, appreciate you. How cooked is Pulse Chain on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being most cooked. Big days. 6. It can make it back. It's possible. I mean, Richard Hart, right? His wallet of what he did with all the funds from Pulse Chain still has what is a top 5 Ethereum wallet, something crazy like that. I think it took BitMine a while to get past them. So yeah, if you have that amount of ETH firepower to use at some point, just like kind of waiting. If it doesn't get used, then it's absolutely cooked, right? But if it gets used at some point, let's say Ethereum $7,000, then boom, right? Richard Hart puts some of that money into the market and dun 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 dun, right? The over speculation at the end of the 4-year cycle in, let's say, going into the election in 2028, that would be very interesting. Got Tam the Hexakid in the chat. Great to see it as well. Sami said Rubio is supposed to be dealing with foreign affairs. Considering his position, he is nowhere near this shit show because he knows it's not a good look. Smart move. Yeah, he's still getting pulled into it a little bit though, which I think he probably, that's why I say there's probably people in his cabinet or in his group, in Trump's group, that are starting to kind of be like, yeah, it's not working out the way we thought it would. Richard Jones also says, so this is his question earlier. Appreciate everything you do. I have around 20,000 Australian dollars to play with starting out. Should I go more into Bitcoin or ETH for maximum gains on this year's bear market? So coming out of it, right? Just buy all. If you want to buy it all in Bitcoin, that's fine. That's going to have the most return once we get the 4-year cycle low in, and then we start coming up next year. So yeah. And then Ethereum, I would say if it's under $1,200, you can buy a ton of that too. But I would say if you 50-50 it between Ethereum and Bitcoin, that's perfectly fine. If you want to go a little harder Bitcoin, because it's the one that's more likely to get the most movement earliest, then probably 70-30, 60-40, depending on how you want to split that. Somebody also said to remove part of the sanctions, Trump will have to go through Congress. I don't see how that happens. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of pushback. It is what it is. All right. We got Kiss the Crate saying fasten your seatbelts. That's right. All right. So let's see. We have gotten, I think, a lot of you guys over here. DCC always in the shadows. Says, yeah, that's a lot of ETH that Richard has. That's right. Jemmy migrated over from YouTube. That's great. You're welcome, Richard. Jump over to How to Cultivate Crypto on Rumble and press like and follow. That would be a great way to say thanks. And also like here on and subscribe on Dollar Cost Crypto's channel as well. All right. So let's see how many so now we have 87 now over there on Rumble and 40 here on YouTube. So those 40, let's go over and take a look at the memes. We should get to 120, 130 over there on Rumble if you guys make it over. If we lose you and we don't see you on the Rumble side, best of luck to you. But we'll be doing the memes there, unadulterated, and then we'll go right into the Bitcoin 60-day cycle. So we got a rug YouTube here. We'll see you guys probably on Moongang on Sunday. We'll be doing it from Miguel's channel, but my next stream here on How to Cultivate Crypto on Rumble will be tomorrow. We'll have an AMA shitcoin request Friday. So let's on our casual Friday. So until then, YouTube, peace, live long and prosper. Later.